The divine wants you to see yourself the way that they see you. They want you to see yourself from their point of view. And I already know there are some people out there who are watching this that are going to be like, well, they must view me as a real piece of crap because that's what they've been feeding me lately. And I want you to stick with me if you're here. The song POV by Ariana Grande is significant for this message. I feel like those lyrics applied in this kind of message of the universe, like you speaking this to the universe and it being like a conversation, is such a beautiful and empowering thing. But the main energy behind this message really circulates around validation. You know, we come onto this earth, and as soon as we have any sort of consciousness about what it means to be human, we are seeking external validation. We grow up as kids. We want to be told we're doing a good job. We want our parents to accept us and to love us unconditionally. And so many of us are not rewarded that luxury growing up. And so we look for validation in other ways. Outside of just our family, we start looking for this validation with our friend groups. We start looking for this validation with romantic partners, with love interests. And all the while, we're placing this validation on the external, on somebody else to give us what it is that all along we've been able to give ourselves. And I think that is really the truth of this journey, this spiritual kind of awakening journey, the coming home to yourself, is to be rerouted back to self, be rerouted back to the truth of that oneness, that source that connects us all, that is infinite in its abundance and in its love, okay? And so many of the experiences that we undergo is a way for us to make those choices, to come back to that truth, to come back to validating ourselves rather than seeking it from every other place. I reflect back on so many instances where I was actively trying to get validation from external sources, and that's what led me down a path of despair. Because when that eventually dries up, when those sources stop giving you the validation, suddenly you don't have any. And so I think the main message here is really to just, again, come back to that knowing, come back to home of the validation that you can provide yourself and doing things from a place of self-validation. And this isn't to say that external validation is not important and not necessary, right? Like you can't have a successful business if you're not receiving any external validation that you have a product or a service that is worth buying. You can't be a successful musician or an artist if there are no people who are externally validating. You know, even with myself, like I'm going to be so real with you guys. I've been feeling very sensitive and very emotionally taxed lately. I think it's really started to hit me with all of the energy shifts lately of just how much my life is changing before my eyes. And while I still have so many things that I haven't fully seen manifest, I know that they're on their way. And, you know, I've been doing these messages for about a year now, and I'm so grateful for the growth that I've experienced, the community that I've built, you know, the exposure, because again, I don't do this because I require external validation. I do this because I feel called to do it and because I know it's something I'm meant to do. But the validation is an aspect of it because part of my purpose is to reach a wide group of people. And so as that's been building up and as I've been kind of going down this path, it sometimes feels very uncomfortable because there's always going to be people who don't validate what I do. And then even the people who do, sometimes I, you know, just get overwhelmed with the visibility, with the vulnerability that is included in what it is that I'm doing. Yet I'm not going to back down and I'm not going to stop because, again, I have done the work in validating my purpose and what it is that I'm meant to do. And I know that it's going to evolve over the course of time. And so I just felt like that was a message that needed to come through right now for this collective because I heard the song POV on the way home and it always makes me very emotional. And just the idea that the divine is constantly waiting for us to view ourselves in the way that they view us so that we can start making the necessary decisions, the necessary choices that align us further and further to that truth is such a beautiful thing. And it's such an empowering thing when we realize like just how much we have that control and just how much we can start to kind of separate ourselves from the sources of external validation that again are kind of causing us to make certain decisions, move in certain directions that may not be aligned to our truth. Because when we give too much of that power away, you know, this could be even like attaching ourselves too closely to like a spiritual guide or a tarot reader. That happens so often as well. But outside of that, it's like, these influencers and podcasters and government people or celebrities, it's like if we are constantly giving away power to other people, we're not actually making any decisions from a place of truth and from a place of ourselves. And so there is this call for all of us to, again, it's okay to resonate with other people. It's okay to be a fan of other people's work. It's okay to, follow along somebody's journey and support their journey. That's needed. We need that community and we need that connection. But we need to stop with the constant seeking of validation from everywhere else but ourselves. So I hope that gives you a little food for thought and that this message reaches exactly who needs to hear it. And I'm sending you love as always.